My name is Jeff DeGrun. I'm the reforestation specialist for DNR. I'm responsible for all the seed acquisition for the agency and making sure we have enough seed going forward to fulfill our reforestation responsibilities. This is the gravity table. This is actually a smaller version of something they use in mining to separate out good stuff from bad stuff. We use it for tree seed, and basically it's basically a table that has a mesh deck on it, and we can adjust it, the angle of it sideways and front to back, and there's constantly air coming up through the mesh screen, and it shakes back and forth. So those dynamics across this deck here allow the seed to work off itself. So when you have unfilled seed that's the same size as filled seed, the dynamics as it goes across the board separate the filled seed and unfilled seed from each other, and then we can set these gates down here at the bottom to feed into different separations. So you can arrange for all the unfilled seed to go out here on the bottom end and all the filled seed to go out on the top end. And then a lot of times we'll have three separations, so we'll have a middle section that has kind of a mix of filled and unfilled seed that we have to take to other machines for other separations, or run it back across the same machine at different settings. I was talking about trying to conserve all the families that we collect in the woods, and the influence of genetics on seed size. One of our tools in ensuring that we don't accidentally throw away some of the large seeded or small seeded, especially small seeded families that we collect in the woods, is this machine. It's a 5-screen separator. Basically what it does is we introduce the product up in the hopper, run it over this machine with a series of screens going from the smallest to the largest, and what happens is we manage to get a separation of fairly clean seed into 5 different groups. And so then once we have that seed the same size, we can take it and run it across the gravity table, and when you've taken out that size component where you have all the same size seed together, it will behave well on the gravity table to get a good separation of filled and unfilled seed. This is our Bcc Gravity Separator. This is an air separation machine that uses the weight of the seed, or separates by the weight of the seed. What it does is that the hopper introduces the unsorted seed into this initial air column here. And you can see the seed kind of dancing around in here like bees. The heavy stuff is dropping out into this separation, which is all filled seed. The lighter stuff is blown out, or sucked out in this case, through this area. So this is all unfilled seed. And then you have another separation here that's kind of a little bit of both that we'll have to do a little bit more work with. So this machine does a really good job. It works kind of slowly because it's a very finely tuned machine, but it does a really good job of getting a lot of those unfilled seeds out, so we can get some of the smaller separations of our seed lots cleaned and reintroduced. What we're trying to do is, our goal is to have very high purity seed of 98% or above, have a germination capacity of at least 95%, which will enable us to sow just 1 or 2 seeds into each of those cells in the greenhouse. Once it sits in here and dries down to our desired moisture content, we will put it into, we'll weigh it to show what our the final weight of seed is prior to going into inventory. We'll remove a sample to run germination tests on, and we will put it into a plastic bag, and then put it into cardboard boxes out in our seed freezer to where it'll be stored at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. We have, as I mentioned, 14 different species in there. Different species store for different periods of time. Species like western red cedar might only store for 5 or 10 years, whereas species like Sitka spruce or Douglas fir could store for 50 years or more. We have over 800 different seed lots out there right now, and it's a total of about 19,000 pounds of seed stored there. And it's really a unique genetic resource. We have representation there genetically of forests that no longer exist. So it's a tremendous tool for us to use moving forward if we need to be responsive to climate change, that kind of thing. We have a tremendous genetic representation out there of areas from all over the state.